Awesome. So now it is time for tea time. It is that
Yay.
part of the menu where our brother Willis Cooks is going to help us out. So maybe we'll start. Give us your credentials again.
One more time.
I'm a therapist. Licensed therapist out here in LA. Psychiatric therapist. So I work with all those folks who have all of those like disorders that nobody wants to like deal with, like the schizophrenia and those things. I mean, I also deal with like the depression and anxiety and those things that we hear on Instagram and stuff all the time, but we rarely hear like the schizophrenia and personality disorders. So I fully like dealing with like those like crazy folks.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Everybody got a little bit of crazy.
Everybody does. We all do. But shout out to you for being willing to do that work. Because like you said, a lot of people don't really want to talk about that, or we kind of disregard those that have like personality disorders or schizophrenia. We kind of just throw them to the wayside. But we need people like you.
Well, it's not trending like depression, right?
Absolutely. Right.
Like right now, I feel like anxiety is very trendy right now. Like everybody says, like, "Oh, my anxiety."
Because anxiety and depression, they are, a lot of people can be, it's a familiar type of thing, right? Depression is kind of sadness. Anxiety is like you feel just weird, like intense nervousness. Like schizophrenia and personality disorders, like their behavior is so bizarre and out of this world. It's like, I'm gonna stay away from that, you know.
Yeah, and then too, you can experience depression and not be like a depressed person, or you can have moments
out here.
Yeah, you can have moments of anxiety, right, and not be someone who like suffers with anxiety and have to be medicated. So yeah,
you can still be out here in these streets.
You can still be out here in the streets, and the streets have been calling.
They have been, and I love that you're the therapist with the do-rag on. Like,
I know. You know what? We should have worn bonnets. Dang
we should have. That's been huge.
It's been huge in the media. We should have. You should have told us. You should have DM'd us and said, "Look, y'all, bring your bonnets."
I don't know. For guys, it's like it's like. I feel like it's easier for guys to walk out the house with our do-rag on, because it's not so like out there. Like this younger generation of kids started to make do-rags out there with all these colorful ass and silk ass and weird little glittery do-rags.
Bedazzled.
Bedazzled
the do-rag. Like, and then guys, we could take our do-rag off and be fine. When a woman takes their bonnet off, it's like a whole like situation underneath it that they got to prepare for. They can't do
Hello, somebody. And you know, I think that we actually look at guys like if they have on their do-rag, it's like, oh, they're taking care of their hair.
Yeah, you know? I think so
they're
too.
They're protecting the waves, or, something like that. But yeah, the bonnet thing, I will say though, people may not like it, but I stand with Monique on that. Now, I do think that it's your business.
Hey,
you know, if you wear your bonnet or not, I think that's on you. I'm not going to say anything to you about it because, again, I'll be minding my business. But the way that I was raised and set up is that, you know, my mom said, don't you leave out this house.
Yeah.
I mean, it don't even have to be a bonnet. Like, if I'm just not all the way dressed, I'd be like, Lord, don't let me run into my mama because she's going to let me have it. And I can't deal with it. My mom just has she has a standard, right? And she's just like, look, you represent me. My child ain't gonna be out here looking like don't nobody love her. Okay.
Yeah. Old school, that's what it is.
Yeah. And then too, you know, when you are out here in your pajamas and your bonnet and all of that, to me, it means you did not take a shower.
That is what that means.
That's what that says to me.
It was on and left.
Just left, right.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I will be honest, have I done that before?
Right, now have I done it?
Probably.
Absolutely.
But will I say like that's the norm for me? No, like I absolutely need to be like running out quickly, getting something, praying that I don't see like 5 people.
And that's always the goal. Like if I ever am like, oh my God, I got this, like my hair situation ain't together, I got on the bonnet or whatever. I'm like, Lord, don't let. But see, now I just put on a hat.
Yeah, same. That's what I do.
Now I just be like, I'm just gonna put on this hat. It's easier to put on a hat. And I still hope I don't see nobody.
But when I'm outside at 6 with my dog walking him, I have on all my pajamas, all my bonnet, and my scarf because I'm just like, I'm not about to do this to get dressed to take my side. But listen.
See, look.
So I agree with Timo too. Like, get it together. Like at the airport, I mean, be comfortable, but you don't gotta be that raggedy.
There's levels. Like you don't have to look a fool to be comfortable.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So
I'm comfy right now.
Exactly.
In my leggings. Hello, somebody.
Leggings.
Comfortable with pajama pants on. Like you can have pajama pants on, some sneakers and a hat. Like you still be fine. Like
you could be.
But don't.
You know, maybe it's weird to me too, because I don't really like, I have pajamas. I have tons of pajamas, but I rarely actually wear them.
Yeah.
So maybe that's my issue too. Like I'll wear them if I'm traveling somewhere, but I don't really like sleep in my pajamas. So to me, it's like I gotta go put this on.
Yeah.
I can just put on regular clothes if I'm gonna go put this on.
See, pajamas for me are like gowns, and you can't wear that outside. Well, at least I can't wear that outside. Like it would be like, where the hell is she going? So
guys don't really have pajamas like that. We just have shorts.
Exactly. Men do just wear hooping shorts, and that's it.
That's funny. Okay, so believe it or not, guys,
we digress.
Today's topic is not about bodies or pajamas. We're actually here to talk about protecting your peace.
Yes.
Brother Willis Cooks is here with us. Like he said, he is a licensed therapist.
That's what's up.
He works with a myriad of patients. And today we're here to discuss your peace. So first, I want to know, how do you describe peace? Like, what's your definition?
Your ability to not give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like just to kind of keep it like simple, your ability to not allow things in your life to kind of really rock your world or anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, living my best life, as Lil Duval would say.
I agree. And for me, I think I would define peace as just like an extreme feeling of calmness and serenity. And just centeredness, I guess, is the things that I think of when I think about peace. So I would agree with that, like not letting anything or anybody interfere with those things.
Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. I like it. I think about it as being like an anchor, you know, which kind of goes back to what you were saying, right? Like you're not able to waver, and like you said, not letting anything or anyone move you from your fixed position of where you want to be, right? I'm here, I want to be here, this is how I want to feel. I'm not gonna let anything rock me. Yeah,
I definitely would agree with that. So Willis, so now we talked a little bit before we started to record or whatever about like the world is kind of opening up, and there's a lot of things happening right now. With different cities being fully open or cities kind of going back to being closed or whatever the case. People not being vaccinated is a big hot topic, and there's so much arguing around that. How do you protect your peace with everything that's happening now? I can't even say post-COVID because it's still happening
like
in the current climate.
So like third quarter.
You're right.
Please don't let it be no overtime. Jesus.
Please,
just kind of wrap this quarter up and move on.
Come on, Jesus.
I think right now it's important for you to be able to be very, very mindful and intentional about what you allow to come in your circle, allow to come in your space, right? Because everything that we take in is how we are, digesting things, right? Whether it be what we're eating, whether it be what we're hearing, whether it be what we're seeing, or even just the people that we are around. So if you know whatever side of the fence you're on, if you're on the side of the people who are not getting vaccinated, or you are on the side of the people who are getting vaccinated, just stay on that side. Now understand whatever side you're on is not better than the other side. Like the vaccinated people ain't better than the people who are getting vaccinated, and vice versa. But like, just remember and focus that you have to be mindful of how much negative things you're bringing into your life, because that's the biggest part of it when it comes to maintaining your peace in this kind of environment.
I like that, the accountability, right? Like, and then just saying, hey, it may not be necessarily right or wrong, it's different, right?
It ain't for you, and that's cool. It's like we don't need to be so caught up in trying to change another person's perspective.
Yeah, and then just respecting that.
Yes, that part.
Because actually, so to begin, we both were like, we ain't getting vaccinated. We don't know what that is. Ain't gonna do it, right? And then eventually you was like, I'm gonna get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I ain't gonna get vaccinated, right? But hey, but I tell you this, if they tell me I can't fly somewhere, I'm I'm giving them both options. Shoot me at the same time. Okay.
Sign me up.
Sign me up.
I'm sure there's some type of way to get around it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
There's always a loophole to
There's
everything.
there's always somebody in the hood selling something.
Right. Or just give me the card that says I'm
on the real.
vaccinated.
Shout out to the boosters making the cards.
Always somebody on the corner, somebody projects who got the hookup.
Right. You ain't wrong about that. But I love what you said about being mindful, like mindfulness of it all. And I think with, just news media outlets and everything else, like just trying to use that scare tactic, and it can make people kind of like be like, okay, well, what should I do? Or, you're wrong because you didn't do X, Y, and Z. But I think being mindful and centered about the choices that you make for yourself and what's best for you is most definitely important, especially at a time like this where, it is a little uncertain. Like you said, Willis, we're in the third quarter, but who knows? Like,
look, that comeback game can be real strong sometimes. So who knows? But then, so I think it's also, like you said, just about respecting what other people, what they want to do. Like, I don't need to convince you to get vaccinated, to not get vaccinated. Look, I'm just going to mind my business.
That's the biggest thing. Like, we do not need to be out here trying to change other people's perspectives and opinions about it. And that's why certain people are afraid to say like they are vaccinated or they aren't vaccinated, because they don't want to hear the negative criticism that the other person may possibly say. When it's like, on one end, it's obviously nobody else's business, but the amount of energy that you're putting into changing someone else's perspective could be used towards something else.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, like I could use that energy to do so many other things.
Yeah, isn't that like HIPAA violation? Like, why is it so known? Like, who's vaccinated?
Honestly, this whole even like knowing if you got, like, people was posting if they had COVID and
right.
whatnot. And I mean, and don't get me wrong, like for some people it's like, hey, I may have come in contact with y'all, so I'm letting y'all know, I'm being responsible. But it's
not a HIPAA violation when like that person decided choose to say it, but it's a HIPAA violation if like the hospital that you got it at or the clinic that you got it at said like, yo, XYZ got this thing here and blah, 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 which is why you cannot prove if somebody got the vaccine or not. Because I can't walk around and nobody can demand my records when they want to, because it's not your right to know what the hell I got going on. So
that's good. Right.
Yeah,
that's good to know that. And I
think that it's so weird how like personal things are becoming so public now. Like before, people would make statuses about like personal health. Well, maybe they would sometimes, child. I don't know.
People crazy.
All I know is, look, I'll be like, to the people who got vaccinated, great.
Right, good for you. Right.
Great.
Right. Good
I'm just still gonna mind my business.
Exactly.
But I sent you that one video where the dude was talking about people who didn't get vaccinated, and I was like, this was so funny. I can't even lie. Your girl might go get it.
That was what I said. He might sway me a little bit.
Just a bit. I don't know.
But no, I'm definitely in agreement of just minding my business.
Mind your business.
And I think that's a part of protecting your peace.
Girl.
Minding the business that pays you.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is like if you're focused on you, then it's like, who cares? If I'm focused on my health and my well-being, then it's like, does it really matter to me?
Nobody fully cares at the end of the day. And like once you like give up all of this energy towards trying to change somebody's perspective, and that person that you're talking to really does not care what you're talking about, and then you realize that person don't care, now you feel mad and pissed off that individual is not rocking with whatever you're talking about. So it's important to just make sure you just stick to where you're at. Like, it's nobody else's business. And I think that's a huge issue, especially when I'm working with like other people's clients and my clients and stuff. That's a very big thing. Like, they try so hard to kind of dive into other people's mess and try to change it up to make it fit for them, because they want to be comfortable. The people who are vaccinated, they want to feel comfortable. So I'm trying to change your perspective just for me, for like a selfish reason. But that's the biggest thing.
That is, that's interesting. But that's definitely valuable feedback. And I think that's important for people to understand it during this climate, that these are the things that you need to worry about. And most importantly, like, worry about yourself. So if our listeners can take that away, that would be great. Because I know it is a lot going on right now. with COVID and everything that's happening. And, you know, we don't know what the fall will look like, or we'll be in a new spot, or who knows? We don't know that just yet. But
that's a good point. There is a lot going on. There's also a lot of racial tension. And so it's crazy because with COVID, I'm like, you know, with vaccines, I'm like, yeah, mind your business. Yeah. Right. That's how I feel about that. Mm-hmm. With like, you know, when people talk about like, you know, trans people and gay people and stuff like that, I'm like, just mind your business, right? Because like, if you mind your business, then like, who cares? Like, you can feel however you want to feel, but just mind your business.
Right.
But then when it comes to race, and that's when I be like, what do you think?
Ain't no time to be minding your business.
Even with that, like I have to be cautious of how much do I want to put in to this conversation, whatever your response is, because I know once I started, I have to go all the way in.
Right. Once I'm in, I'm in.
I can't half-ass a conversation around racism, or I can't half-ass those type of, you know, discussions. So it's like, do I really want to dive into this, or do I want to look at this as an opportunity to cut you off? Like, so for me, that's kind of where I'm at. Because I'll cut people off.
Because I think too, it's so I think there's also been times where it's becoming almost a forced conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Because, for example, you know, we've made posts and things on our social media. We've had individuals come on the show whose brothers were murdered at the hands of police, right? And people will write horrible things to us, and, you know, and say like, oh, they should have died. I'm glad you know, just say the most hurtful things, and you know, delete, right? Like I don't have to engage in this. But then I also be thinking like, why don't you just keep throwing? Like if you don't like it, just keep like when people post stuff. I hate musicals, but guess what? I'm not gonna sit there if I see a post and just go in on me. I'm just gonna keep scrolling and be like, that's not for me. But then there's also times where there's forced conversations. For example, in corporate settings, right? There's been a lot of forced conversations about race because of everything that happened, starting with George Floyd and then Breonna Taylor, where you sort of have to have, and then, you know, you're always the only Black person at work. So we would like to hear what you have to say, and what has been your experience, and what do you think about the organization, and do you feel like this, and you know what I mean? So it's one of those.
Off even more, like. So I don't know. I think when it comes to those people online who kind of throw that shit at you and those reckless comments, I immediately just like delete that, because you don't know who that person is on the other end. They just talking just to get something about it, right? But at work, and I've had these conversations a lot of time at work, and like my coworkers laugh at me because I'm the guy that like always talking shit about white people. Racist, like, I don't like anything white. Doesn't really like apply to me. Like I don't wear white clothes. I don't have too many white friends.
You are bliggity
black. Said I don't wear a white shirt. My beaters is black. Like what? Your white beater is black?
I don't play the piano because the key's black. I don't like you because your gums is black.
But it's when it's at work, I think it's. See, when we're at work, we're in a difficult position in the sense of, especially if we're the only one, we have to determine how important is the job at this point. Right. Because if I say the truth, if I really want to say the things that I'm really thinking, this might be my last day here. And it sucks that we're all in that position in many different areas, whether it be especially like those cops in the police force. Right, a lot of people get on these officers, these Black officers, who aren't saying anything about this stuff. But how can you demand that person to say something about this situation when he knows if he says something, he's going to lose his job, he could potentially lose his pension, he could lose everything. So you're asking that person to like give up feeding his family, essentially. I wouldn't do that, but you have to weigh the importance of this job versus the conversation, because I don't believe in having conversations that are just going to be worthless. I don't really like wasting words too much. So when it comes to people who are ignorant, or when it comes to people who I know I'm not going to change their perspective in a setting in which I'm around multiple people, I may take a step back, but I will pull certain people aside and be like, yo, check you, behind closed doors, just so you can understand it. Because some folks may have to lose their job, and I wouldn't want to be the guy to say, yo, you need to speak at your job, blah, blah, blah. So.
Right.
Because,
too, there's been a lot of people that have posted that said, like, to my coworkers or my family or whatever who hasn't said anything, like, your silence speaks volumes, So I think, too, there's almost this assumption, but to our earlier point, those people could just be minding their business. They could be doing their research. They may not feel equipped enough to make a decision or pick a side, or and then same thing even with politics, right? Like the whole with Trump, right? Like when people post about Trump, I just keep scrolling. Sometimes I'd be shocked. I'm like, oh
yeah, keep scrolling.
Everybody's advocacy looks different, right?
Yeah, sure.
That a lot of people stay in their lane. That's also a really big thing when it comes to peace, is for you understanding, being okay with whatever role that you all have, right? There are some people who be out here in the streets protesting who just should not be protesting. There are some people who are speaking about Black history and Black things that should just not be speaking about, right? You probably have this very intelligent and smart individual who knows a plethora of things when it comes to Black history, but they struggle with putting their words together and they sound like a damn fool. Like, maybe you don't need to say something about it. Maybe you need to really just act on the things that you're doing. Maybe you need to just fully educate the people in your small circle. And like I said earlier, everybody's advocacy is different. Just because I'm not out here speaking doesn't mean I'm not doing anything. I could be working with this one person in the hood, or the programs that I'm doing could be doing this. Like, everybody, we don't need a spokesperson for every little thing. We just need at least we need everybody to play their role. As long as you play your role, as long as you understand your role and play it to the best of your ability, you'll be fine. But we don't need 1,000 public speakers.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Because then who's listening?
Right.
If everybody's speaking, then who's listening?
And then the message gets lost because everybody's interpretation of their advocacy might look different. So then we don't have a clear message to what needs to be said. So that would be crazy. Yeah, I definitely, with the internet trolls, they drive me crazy. So for the most part, I do just delete and I'll block them as well. Just to take it up a notch.
Me too, but every now and again.
But every now and then, your girl will go back and forth. Listen, some days I have time, and it'll just be a quick time too. Like, just go to hell. Like, I posted something about I posted something on Biden.
But it's so funny, wait, because when you post it and they respond, I get the notification. So I'll be like, why did she tell them to go to hell?
Listen, that's always my response. Like,
so
just
then I gotta go investigate. Like, wait, what happened? I'm like, oh, it was she said. We said
go
right,
to hell.
Because I just saw the go to hell, right?
I don't like when people do that.
But then when I said that, I'm like, and as we said,
go to hell.
Go to hell.
Expeditiously. So people try to comment on stuff that we post, and it's just like, no, like,
oh my God.
You like Sherry Renee said, like, we don't like something, just keep scrolling, bro. Like, you took the time to type this out, like, make sure it was grammatically correct. Like, you took all these steps.
So what do you think about that? Because to me, when I see people spend that much time spreading negativity, spreading drama, spreading nasty comments, writing, talking about, oh, he should have died, or I'm glad he's dead, he was a criminal, or whatever they say. Like, I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, misery loves company.
Sure.
You're trying to bring me down to where you are, because you could just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Like, why are you taking the time to do this? Do you have nothing better to do?
It's entitlement, and it's entitlement and their belief that nothing is going to happen to them. Right? I mean, that kind of goes into entitlement, but like, these people who are doing this online, it's easy for me to talk shit online because I'm in the comfort of my room. You don't know where I'm at. You don't know who I am. The huge majority of these people are doing it on, profiles that don't have their picture up, and it's just like some random thing. So they're doing it in a safe space, right? It's allowing them to be who they want to be within a safe space. And even though that is very detrimental, and we don't know who that is, it's helping them out, right? But it's also, the biggest thing is entitlement. Everybody feels entitled, and everybody believes that, they know what they're talking about. Everybody has an opinion and things of those sort of things. it goes back into people understanding like they just need to shut the fuck up. But at the same token, it's we on the other end who is receiving that negative thing have to understand that there's always going to be somebody who disagrees with you. There's always going to be somebody who hates what you're speaking about. There's always going to be that person. We have to expect the worst and expect bullshit from, you know, that person or that group. So when it comes, it doesn't surprise us. Mm-hmm. You know, it'll surprise you if, you know, Chanel comes at you, Sherry, for something reckless. That'll fuck you up. But if the redneck from, I don't know, Alabama says some racist shit, you're a redneck from Alabama, I expect you.
Right. That's true. People gonna do what they do, right?
Exactly. Let them do
dogs bark, right? That's what they do. But Chanel, oh my God. Oh no. Don't come at me with nothing reckless and careless.
No.
Cause well, my guard is down, number one.
For real. Like what? People be like, what the hell? What am I supposed to do with that? Right. No, I would not. But no, I love that. I love that mentality of it, to already expect the expected of people like that.
But those are the things that we can predict. Well, what about the stuff that you can't, like you said, like Chanel?
Yeah.
When you gladly pull it to the side, cut the mic off.
Turn this stuff off.
Look, we gonna
all right.
I'm gonna protect you by cutting all this shit off.
I don't want no record of what I'm about to say.
Like that. You know, you discipline your partner behind closed doors.
There you go. I like that.
When it comes to those people who you know are full of shit, if you know you don't have, because sometimes I got the time. Sometimes I want to entertain the bullshit just because I'm bored. I need to laugh, blah, blah, blah. But if you know that you personally don't have the time and the space and the correct mindset for it, like let evil people be evil.
Right.
You will never be able to change the perspective of like the devil. You can't. So why do we even try to deal with that person?
Right. Same you know, thing. I saw something this one time, and I wish that I could remember it word for word verbatim, but it says something like when someone like comes at you with some mess or something like that, if you respond to it, then your soul has agreed to like be on that level. Mm-hmm. Something like that. Now they said it more eloquently than that, but it was almost like, okay, if you engage, then you agree. Yeah. Like you're agreeing to this nonsense.
Mm-hmm. You're agreeing to entertain the energy that comes with it.
Right. You know, right.
You may not necessarily agree with what that person's talking about, but you are agreeing to actually put up or share space with the negative energy. You know, if you walk into a room and there's a bunch of negative tension and you feel it, first thing you're gonna do is try to walk out because you're not rocking with this, right?
But that's if you ain't rocking with it.
Right.
Exactly. But if you walk into the room and you feel the negative energy and you stay in, you make the choice to stay in nonsense. You can't get mad at whatever nonsense comes with it. So.
Ooh, that's good. That's deep.
That's a whole word right there, Brother Willis.
That was deep right there. Because it makes you think and evaluate, you know.
So because I remember so it was in particular when I was posting something about Alvin Cole. Mm-hmm. This one person, like I kept at first I was just blocking and deleting, but then like they kept like getting different profiles and putting the same message. So something happened, I went in, I let have, some things were said, who's to say what it was. But then I remember after that, it like I was hot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, why did I even invite that in? You know what I mean? Why did I? But
you feel disappointed about yourself, everything.
Yeah, because I was like, typically I just be like, look, y'all can do that by yourself. I ain't got time.
Right.
My higher self ain't gonna let me do, because I can't come down there to do this with you, right? But I came down there. Okay, I did. Hey, all the way down.
Sometimes our lower self gets the best.
Okay, my lower self was like, we got time today. We doing it right now.
Every now and then you have people who forget who you are. You can be super peaceful and live this very gracious life, but every now and then certain people try to test your gangster, and you gotta have to politely let them know, like, hey, I'm evolved, but look here, little person. Listen. I will get down to your level and teach you a lesson real quick.
Today.
Exactly. And you do that with grace. You do that with grace.
I don't know if that's possible, but whatever.
In the most graceful way to tell you to go.
Graceful way, let them know that I'm not to be fucked.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Yes, definitely to all of that. So you kind of mentioned it a little bit about like protecting your peace in the workspace. So what does that look like for you in your everyday work life?
Like, how do you not let, like, especially what you were talking about, so many different patients with so many different issues. How do you not take all that on?
Yes, take it home with you.
It's a few things. One, if I ain't getting paid for it, I don't want to hear it.
That's a big one.
The almighty dollar.
I'm not getting paid for it. I get paid to hear your bullshit and to deal with it. If I'm not getting paid for it, I don't want to hear about it. Secondly, at work, I have to be mindful, especially like with me and my views when it comes to, let's say, therapy, right? Because I grew up a specific type of way. I have a different perspective when it comes to helping folks. And my approach is very, very different compared to like a lot of my peers. And I have to be mindful of my approach and my perspective with therapy was given to me because of the things that I grew up with and everything. And that's the same with everybody else at work. Like, they are who they are because of, what they've been through and what went on in their life. So I have to be mindful of, even though your way of therapy, I may disagree with it, but hey, if it works for you and if it's working for the client, who am I to say whatever? But I truly, like, above all else, just stay out my way and let people know, like, hey, I'm going to do me. I'm going to do what I have to do, but don't fuck with me when it comes to certain things. And they understand it. Like, I stay all the way out the way. But like I said, I'm very mindful of cutting myself off. Lunch break, I'm not dealing with none of y'all folks. When I'm not getting paid, I'm not dealing with none of y'all folks. When I'm in, I'm in. But when I'm out, I have to be mindful to take it all the way out. And you have to, I personally, the things that I mainly do is I purposely get to work early so I can kind of mentally clock in. And then on my way out, I sit in my car for a little bit so I can mentally clock out. Because you don't want to immediately go from one scene to another scene. You want there to be like a buffer so you can be able to get the energy off from the previous environment so you don't walk into the new environment with reckless energy. You get what I'm saying? You don't want to get into an argument with your boyfriend and immediately go to work because you're still going to be angry.
Yeah.
Argue with your boyfriend, yell in your fucking car for a quick second, then go to work.
Listen, I'm bringing up all the points I missed.
Listen. Right. So argue, pause, break, then go to work.
Yes. Got it. I love that. But were you always that intentional, like when you first started in your therapy? Because, for example, for me, like I've been in education for like 8 years. It's like 8 or 9, whatever. But when I first started, who cares? I don't even know at this point. But when I first started, I definitely would like take stuff home. I was texting parents like in the evening, like just doing too much. But now I've definitely come to a point like what you just said, Willis, like I do have those buffer moments. Like I'll sit in my car for a minute and just kind of get my mind together. And I'm very clear with families at 4 o'clock, don't contact me because I'm out. Like, don't do it. You will not get a response. So I'm very intentional about, that work and home and that peaceful balance. Like I don't want the two to get mixed up, which is why I'm very grateful that I actually have to go to work because there is that separation.
There's that transition.
But were you always like that? And then was there a moment that you had to work from home that those lines were kind of blurred?
What it was for me was that like I was doing more work than the client was doing more work. You know what I'm saying? Like with you as an educator, you're doing more things than actual student.
Yeah.
Like you want that person to grow more than they want themselves to grow. So for me, early on, I was doing everything. I was a fucking star therapist. Like I got it. Everybody loved me. But then I'm getting let down by the amount of work. I'm getting let down by the amount of work that they're not doing. And I begin to realize that I have to be at the same level where that client is at. If they don't want to do nothing really and they just kind of bullshitting, then I have to be right there with them. And it is unfair for me to kind of expect more or expect less. So for me, I had to personally take a step back and understand that you don't want to give your all to the client because you're going to unconsciously expect them to give your all to you. And that is unfair, especially when you're working with people. So.
No, that's definitely good. And I'm glad you realized that, because I'm sure that could be a lot, especially now, working with the patients that you work with schizophrenia, and that would be a lot to take on to try to do the work for them.
No clue. The amount of people I've seen, and I can write a book on this shit.
Hey, you should. Listen, you absolutely should. It's coming.
People getting beat up to like watching patients eat their shit and
what?
Like just bite off ears and like it's a mess. But it's a population that is underserved, and it's fun because it's never boring. I need the adrenaline, and that's something I'm never gonna get bored of.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what about you? How are you protecting your peace since you still work remotely?
Child, I do work remotely, and let me tell you something. Working from home.
That should be more.
Initially, so I have a new role now, but before I was actually traveling a lot. So when we got into the pandemic, I was like, break, get money, break. Like I was excited. I was like, good, because your girl's tired. Let me sit my ass down, right?
Down.
Paid off a lot of debt. I was like focused on other things. But then I was like, all right, I'm tired of sitting. Like I'm ready to go. And then one thing that I noticed is that the lines got blurred because there was no transition. There was no drive home. There was no drive to work. I was working in my home clothes, with my bonnet on, doing all kinds of stuff,
that you would never
doing all kinds of stuff that I would never do. Never. Okay. But then I realized that I was almost working around the clock because, with everyone having cell phones and laptops, it's almost this expectation. And then being a part of a global company, right? You have people in different parts of the world that are messaging you and sending stuff. And then, when we transitioned over to Teams, they have this nice little chat. So, because, when people send an email, you like, I'll look at that in the morning. Whatever. I see it on my phone, but I have a separate work phone. So that was my separation, right? This is my phone. That's my work phone. They are not the same. Don't get them confused. But when you keep pinging me, that's almost like the expectation that you want a response right away. And so initially I was like almost working around the clock. And then I was just like, look, there's some rules here. Number one, I don't go to meetings if there's no agenda, because you need to tell me why you want me to be there. Because with you not being in the office, people can't just stop by and say, hey, I got a quick question. Like everything's a meeting. Yeah. So now you got 13 meetings in 8 hours. Can I pee? I mean, Jesus. So it got to the point where I literally was like, decline. You need to tell me why you want. Why is my presence requested? Why do you have 3 people from my part of the organization there? Don't you think that's a little bit of overkill? I'm sure they can handle it. If they need help, they will let me know. Okay. And maybe if you're intentional about your meeting, you'll put in some damn notes and maybe an agenda. Tell me why the fuck you want me there. If you can't do that, then I won't be there. How about that? So that's number one. Number 2 is I just stopped responding to the team because I was like, I don't got, just because you asked don't mean I got to answer.
That part.
Same thing with like text messages, sometimes I'll just be like, I don't have it. I don't have it to give today. Same thing with social media. Like last year I did a lot of fasts, like 40 days. I probably did about 7 40-day fasts.
Yeah.
So I really wasn't active on social media. This year I haven't been doing them so much, so I'm more active. But there's times where for no reason I just won't be on for 5 days.
Yeah.
Won't be on for 10 days. Why? Because I'm minding my business.
There we go.
I don't want that. So I don't care that, I sent you. Yep. I'll see it when I get on.
Yeah.
I message you. Okay. That's message all you like.
Yeah.
But there's this almost like expectation in today's world that everything is instant and immediate.
It's urgent.
And I have not agreed to that.
Yeah.
I personally did not agree to that. So you can message all you want. You do whatever. You could ping me. You can message me. You do whatever you want to do. But I'm going to respond when I'm good and ready or not at all.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just too much, especially because to me, I look at it as an interruption, especially if I'm focused on something. And you know how they say like if you're actually actively working on something and somebody interrupts you, it actually takes you 17 minutes to actually get back in your groove.
Wow.
Right. So you ain't going to do that to me. My work is important. What's urgent for you
is
not urgent for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that just those little things, and then making commitments to myself and being intentional about not breaking those. My treadmill broke. So now I get up and go to the park every day to get my steps in. So I don't care what's going on, how many meetings. I'm like, look,
blocking time.
We're gonna either reschedule it or look, I don't know what to tell you. But your girl's at the park.
Watching the ducks.
With her hat on. Watching the damn ducks.
Watching the ducks.
Okay. That's what I'm doing. Looking at the damn turtles. That's what I'm doing. I don't know what to tell you. So I think it's just about me having to set clear boundaries.
Yes.
And not and I think that before when I didn't do that, it was because I was afraid of the implications. Well, what happens if I don't? But now I know what happens if I don't. I'm not at peace. That's what happens if I don't. So I don't care what's late. Like, it'll all be there tomorrow.
Yes.
It'll all be. And what's the worst that could happen?
Right. Listen.
Look,
nothing.
2020 was really bad. So look, what's the worst that could happen? That could happen.
Listen, there is nothing worse. But no, I think you brought up a good point of just not knowing. And I think early on in my career too, just not knowing what I know now. So now it's very easy for me to set those boundaries. Like what you're not gonna do is contact me after work hours. And that goes for teachers, the kids, and their parents. Like I don't want to hear from none of y'all.
Right.
No, we're done here. And then just making it clear and I know what happens if I don't do that. It is my peace. Like just being very like anxious all the time.
And it ain't worth it.
It's not worth it at all. It is definitely not.
It's not worth it. It's also like we have to understand that it is a privilege when we allow people to force us to move at their pace.
Exactly.
Right? Like we don't never feel ashamed to move at your own personal pace. Never feel ashamed to answer the email when you want to. But it's a privilege when I want to. It's a privilege when I want to move on your time.
Exactly.
It's a privilege because we have to understand it. Like I'm willing to give up my personal peace, my personal balance to assist you and to move a little bit faster or slower or whatever the case is. But don't be afraid to move however fast or slow you want to move. It's your pace.
That's all. And not only that, but it's like right now my focus is something else. You're asking me about X, I'm on Z.
Exactly.
So I'm not gonna take a break from what I'm doing to go because you here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that's really none of my business.
Sure. Listen.
What you're asking me got nothing to do with it. Is none of my business.
Yeah, I'll get to it. It's on a list. It just may be like number 85.
Exactly. Listen, I'm on 15.
Exactly. I'm on 15. And sometimes 85 might become 105. Because it's about, the priority. I think it's about prioritizing myself.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then realizing, so I have a lot of conversations with myself in my head. I'm like my initial reaction to things, I'd be like, but is that your business? Get back to minding your business.
I got to tell you.
I should say, no, you don't know. Why? Why you need to say so? Ain't they grown? Can't they make you? Aren't they a capable adult? Okay. You don't know. This person need help. Did they say they need help?
Nope. Not your business.
Do they really need help? Sit your ass down. You know what I mean?
Mind yours. Okay.
Mind your business.
Man. No, that's definitely like some good feedback because I think a lot of people, especially during the pandemic, and people have not created those boundaries because we've never experienced something like a pandemic in our lifetime. So I do hope our listeners and people just in general are starting to create those boundaries, especially if they still work remotely, and if they don't, still create those boundaries if you go to work every day because it's so much happening still in the world.
Use your time to learn more about those boundaries and about certain things that you need to keep to yourself, because this caused a lot of people to be alone. This pandemic caused a lot of people to be alone, be by themselves. And use this time, or we're kind of on the way out of it, but as you're getting back into society and getting reacclimated to everything that's going on, be mindful of not just quickly jumping into the previous life or the normal, which because that shit is dead and gone. It's not coming back. Where you're at right now has to be intentional about whatever direction you're trying to
go. Right. And 3 years ago, my line sister, she told me we were all having brunch. I don't know if all 18 of us made it, but it was a lot of us. So probably at least 13 of us was there, and everybody was supposed to go around the table and give a nugget. And one thing that she said was, if it costs you your peace, let it go. It's too much. And so then, you know, there was a whole discussion around that one, because I was like, wait a minute, say that again. That was good. Circle back. Now, what does that mean? What about in this context? And she's like, let it, look, it costs too much. She was like, you're going to just realize at some point that it's just not worth it. Just let it go. And so that's been something that I've been meditating on for the last, since we crossed, so about 3 years ago. It's just like, is it worth it? You know, like different things that I get involved in or whatever. It's just like, is it really worth it? Do I really need to do this? No. You know,
it never,
like, maybe at this level it's okay, but when it gets to this other level, is it still worth it?
No.
It never is. And one of the things that I realized is that people don't know what peace looks like for them, right? Because peace is different for everybody. Somebody's peace could just be sitting on the couch watching TV and eating some candy. Like,
amen.
Like, I get a peaceful day for me is jumping out of planes.
I saw that. I was like, oh my.
Like that's a crazy as day for certain folks, but for me it's very, very peaceful, right? Yeah. So I think when it comes to, you know, not allowing people get you off of your peace or stepping you away from your peace or costing you your peaceful day, I think some people need to look back and ask themselves, you know, what does peace look like for them? A lot of people don't. Some people have always been living crazy ass lives. Some people think a peaceful life is a crazy life.
Yeah.
That may not necessarily be the case, but for some folks, they have to get back and identify what their form of peace looks like for them. So then they'll know how to attack it. You can't attack nothing if you don't know what it looks like.
Right. Come on now. You know, so we actually did a 30-day journey to peace with Lakita Denise Caldwell, who wrote this amazing journal. We did her class, and I did it twice. And she asked us to describe what peace felt like, what it smells like, what does it feel like, right? And the second time I was like, it feels like when I ride my bike, like, because that is just so serene to me. Like, you know, obviously you got to be, you know, you're doing a lot, right? Because it's a stick, but it's like, it's just like you really get to take in the scenery that you overlook every day. Because you're in a different element, right? When you're in a car, you're in a caged vehicle, right? When you're on a motorcycle, everything is exposed. You can feel the wind. You can hear the birds more. Like you just kind of become one with the atmosphere. It's like you're in the flow, right? And so I was just like, man, like that's what it feels like, you know? And so I agree with what you're saying. Like in order to know if it's being disturbed, you have to know what it is.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think the point too that you made, that some people don't know because their lives are so chaotic. So peace feels like it feels weird to them.
But is that peace or is that comfort? Because you can be comfortable in chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you distinguish comfort from peace?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
That's what I do here, Willis. They don't call us Oprahs for nothing.
I think in order to distinguish comfort from peace, I think peace is, I think, and this is like a personal definition, so it's always going to be subjective, but I think peace goes into how present you are at the moment. And I think comfort goes into how much you're willing to let go. Right? Or how much you're willing to deal with. There we go. How much you're willing to deal with, right? Your tolerance of it. Yes. When we tolerate things, we're also comfortable with things. I tolerate this, my girlfriend's bullshit, because I'm comfortable with it. It is what it is. But then when you come around someone who is actually like peaceful and don't yell and bark and scream, you looking at that person like, yo, I don't really know what it is, so I'm just gonna go back to what I'm used to. So tolerance and comfortability are two things that are very synonymous. But when it comes to peace, it's about how present are you within this moment. Because when you are extremely within a peaceful place, nothing can come in to fully like disturb you. You know, you ever been so chill and so relaxed that some bullshit happens, you just like, oh, just put it down and just go on, continue on about your day, you know, or you refuse to allow certain things to come in. I think that's peace, how present you are in the moment. The comfortable part is your tolerance, like you said. The more things you're willing to tolerate, that's not peace. That's just you're willing to say, okay.
That's good.
Interesting. So that, okay, wait a minute, because this was a lot. So I gotta walk this back a little bit. So because when you said, you know, you could be at a place where you have a lot of peace and you don't allow anything to come in, that made me think of when we talked about the whole agreement, when you engage with foolery, right? So it's a choice, right? So you are saying things could be happening, but it's on you to say, I ain't, get out.
You
I ain't doing
like a super, like a day so cold, a day that's so good that you get this text message from this one person. You know you're supposed to respond, but you so caught up in this dope ass day that you just forget to respond. And so that day is peaceful, right? That day is fun. And for me, that's what that is. That's peace at that moment.
Yeah.
So you're saying when I'm on my vacation starting tomorrow and that work phone is binging and ringing and I just choose to leave it at the hotel as I'm out gallivanting around doing what I'm doing, that's me just choosing peace because I'm just going to ignore all the notifications.
Absolutely.
The work phone don't ring if it was never on in the first place.
Yeah, hello.
Hey,
come on, somebody.
Took it a step further. Like, why is it even
why
on?
even bring the phone?
Why did you even bring it?
Why is the phone even on? Why did the phone make it to the plane? Help me understand.
I don't know. But I mean, I guess that would kind of be like when you're jumping out of a plane too. Like I can only imagine that feeling of you have to be that feeling of serenity to just let go. Because essentially that's what you're doing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I definitely want to try this.
I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So if I come to Milwaukee, both of y'all.
Come to Milwaukee and skydive.
Yes.
We have to go to Chicago though to do it.
Probably, I don't know.
Now I want you to know that before we do it, I'm probably going to disturb your peace. Like, I don't know, is the stage? I'm gonna do all of that. But then when I'm up there, like if y'all just push me, then I'm probably gonna yell out a few expletives. But then I'm gonna be good. Yeah, real good.
But
then I'm gonna like want to do it again. Yes. Like I'm that type of person.
It's the fact that you go, but you're extremely right when it comes to like skydiving. The only way for you to fully, enjoy it, only way for you to be safe, a huge way so you don't kill yourself is to like relax, it's to chill, it's to breathe, right? The more tense you are, the more tense you are, the harder it is to think, the harder it is to move, the harder it is for you to figure out what the next steps are. But when you're at peace and when you're just letting things go, time moves by a whole lot slower. You're able to think a whole lot better and you're able to enjoy it a little bit more. So like when it comes to skydiving, you have to be at peace. You have to be relaxed. For me, personally, like you doing the tandem, y'all could be bugging out all you want because y'all would but me by myself and anybody else who's like a licensed skydiver, they have to be, at a place in which, this thing brings them peace. Because you're not going to continue to do things that's not bringing you any type of peace.
For sure.
So then the other thing that you said was the distinction between comfortable and being peaceful is that comfort, it could be synonymous to tolerance.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. What it makes me ask myself, what am I tolerating?
Yeah.
What am I tolerating would be the question.
Yeah. It definitely does.
It's that stupid boyfriend that's driving you crazy. Right. And you know this shit is toxic. And you know this shit is bad. And you know he out here like, giving half-ass dick and causing you like all lying to your face, not doing anything. But you're comfortable with it because you done had this thing for 3-4 years. But it's not peaceful. You're gaining weight, you're looking a hot mess, but it's what I know. It's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's the
it's
thing.
Okay.
Right. What am I tolerating? Right. And it could be a job too, right?
Yeah.
It could be like
it could be anything. Yeah. It could totally be anything. Coworkers, a friend, a relative, like
child.
it could be anything.
It could be that rack in your kitchen, whatever it is, anything.
I will say this though, I do think that 2020 made me more aware of that because of all the sitting down and staying in, right? Like you kind of have time to ruminate. And I remember, I don't know what holiday it was, but Mom was like, "Are you going to what you call it?" And I was like, "Nope, ain't gonna do it. Ain't gonna make it." Because I already know what's gonna happen if I go, so I could just stay here.
Yeah.
Good day. You don't even need to bring me a plate. We are good.
Right. Period.
All is well. Right. So I think that it is about making those decisions because if you can become aware, and in order to really discern what it is that you're tolerating, you do have to kind of sit and really listen to your body when those exchanges happen. Like, what I don't like, I really don't like this. I'm putting up with it. Yeah. But this does not feel good to me.
Yes.
Let me make this stop right now. You know?
Yeah. I think that's good, like listening to how your body feels, because your body knows, like, and because your body will do that like flight or flight thing, like it's gonna tense up if it's feeling like it's in attack mode.
And this year I told myself I'm not going against my body. Like if it could just be like, "Oh, do you want to go hang out? Let me check." Right. Right. My body says we Netflixing tonight.
I like that. 100% like that, and I'm gonna steal that because there's like it's so many things that like, and I fully hate it when my body's telling me not to do something, and I go to a place or I hang out with a person, and it goes bad, and I'm like, God damn, what the fuck?
Because you knew it.
Your body tried to tell you.
Because your body told you, and you knew it. And then, but why do we go against our bodies? Why do we do that?
Yeah.
Yes. And we need to see it for ourselves. We're stubborn. We don't
stubborn,
think the body doesn't know better.
Especially if it's something that we've already seen before. Like, why do we?
Because it goes back to the tolerance. It ain't gonna be that bad.
That's true.
That's good.
That is true. Because it is that muscle memory. Like the body knows.
Yeah.
Sometimes what you don't know.
The body is giving you a signal. It's like, girl, don't pick up that phone. Girl, don't go over there.
Yeah. The body already knows.
And then your body gets used to the bullshit so much that when a good person comes around or when you're in a good environment, your body's like, yo, what the hell is this?
Like retreat.
It's so foreign.
Right.
Because it's not, because you don't have that resistance. So your body's like, we don't do things with grace and ease. What is this? We're being respected too much here. Now what's going on?
Oh yeah.
This person's respecting my boundaries.
Right.
Something is wrong here.
Whoa, listen. We talked about that. Like, whoa. Right. What's this? What's the catch?
Wow. That is, you have to be so aware to make that distinction though. To say like, okay, am I tolerating this or is this good for me?
Yeah.
Right. And so, what we say is like, does this serve me?
Yeah.
Right. Like that's our phrase that we've stolen from Sister Sarah Jakes.
There we go.
When did we go to our conference? 17? 18?
Ooh, I think that was 18.
I think that was 18. That's when we kind of started that whole discussion around like, does this thing serve me?
That was 18. But that's definitely a great little tidbit there. I love that.
Yeah. Interesting. So I'm gonna ask y'all, and don't ask me because I don't know, but like, what are you tolerating?
What am I tolerating?
Yes. Our people need real life examples here.
Right.
What the fuck am I tolerating?
Right, same. I'm like, what am I tolerating right now?
I don't know. Because like when you stated that I'm making it an issue to, listen to my body, paying attention to my body. I've been doing that for like years. And I've gotten to a place to where like my body leads first, if that makes sense. So like when you stated earlier, you have these conversations with yourself all the time. I have these conversations with myself all the time as well. And my biggest thing is that when I don't go against that negative voice in my head, I know I'm being comfortable. So I have to give myself signals of things that will allow me to know when I'm being comfortable. So like normally after work I always go to the gym, right? But I didn't go to the gym today after work because you ladies were a priority. So after
thank you.
after this, we take my butt to the gym.
He's like, so if y'all could wrap this up,
all right.
Not even that, because the gym is 24 hours. So like I go there anyway.
Cool.
But even now, like as I'm like speaking about it, I hear the voice in my head saying, nah, you already here. You at the house, just chill. Like you got other stuff to do. You don't want to have to get out, go back into your car, go, So if I listen to that voice and stay in the house, then I allow the moment to make me comfortable. And I don't want to do that because I don't want to regret, it.
Yeah.
That was
Got
good.
it.
That was good.
That's good. That's good.
I feel like right now I'm tolerating just not using my no as much as I'd like to. I think that's something that I'm tolerating, just trying to say yes just because I don't want to say no. But I'm learning that, and I'm aware that I do this, and sometimes I'm like, okay, well, why did I say yes? Because I really don't want to do this, or I really don't have time to do this because I'm doing all these other things. So I think just being intentional about no is not a curse word. It's not, gonna attack somebody. No is just you taking care of you first. So I think I need to start doing a better job of just saying no and just and being comfortable with not giving an explanation. No is just my answer.
Hello, somebody. Yes.
You don't owe nobody no explanation. No.
Yeah.
I made a post a while ago and it said there's no explanation needed when you say yes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So why do we have to give one when we say no?
And I think you posted something too that said no is a complete answer.
Yeah,
that's it.
No,
you can do this. No.
When you say no to something else, you're also saying yes to yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And like you said, why do we need to explain a yes? Well, I don't need to explain a yes to myself, and me explaining no to you is just so you can be at peace. I don't. I'm not going to sacrifice my peace so you can be at peace. We're not doing it.
Right.
Facts.
So this weekend I was at Jazzy Ray Jewels and Accessories. So shouts out to them.
Yes.
Shouts out to John Ray. You guys should shop online at jazzyrayjewels.com. And I was there to pick up my order, but I ended up staying there working.
Oh Lord, they put you to work.
So I volunteered to work because there were, people was dropping by left and right to pick up their orders. So
shout out to them.
I was just trying to help a sister out.
Listen,
I was like, look, it's a sisterhood, right? So jump in. And when I tell you the hours flew by, I was like, curbside pickup, this is Sherry, it was crazy. But I ended up having this conversation with John Ray. We were talking about how when you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. So you have to be conscious of when I say yes. When I studied economics, we always called it the opportunity cost, right? If I buy this, that means I can't buy that. If I invest in this, it means I'm not investing in that. So when we say yes to something, what are we saying no to? Is it ourselves?
Yeah.
And then, we also talked about how in going with that is that when you're for something, right, you have to be against something. So it's always being aware of what the cost is. And I think that's what my soror was saying about peace, right? Is that when something costs you your peace, it has gone too far. You've crossed the line here now. It ain't worth it no more, right? No. Because I can't recover from this. This is too detrimental at this point. My peace has got to be a priority. And so I think that's what I'm trying to work on is realizing, okay, what am I giving up when I say yes? What am I giving up when I say I'm in?
Yeah.
What does that really mean? Because we just think it means showing up or doing the thing, but what's the thing that I'm not doing? Even if that was me resting or sleeping or Netflix and just to rejuvenate.
Yeah.
Or having a Sunday, whatever it is that I choose to do. Right.
Reclaiming your time.
What is it that I'm saying no to?
Yeah. Yeah. Got to reclaim your time.
Totally agree with that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to be conscious of that, child. But I know that I did say this year I was I'm choosing me.
Yeah.
So me first.
Yay.
So nope.
Got to.
And you got to be okay with that. That's the thing. A lot of us know that we're supposed to put ourselves first, but a lot of us believe that we're wrong if we're put ourselves first. We're wrong if we try to be selfish. We're wrong if we try to be very protective over the things that we want. And it's no, you're not. Because when you're sitting in the bed at the house, or if something was to happen to you that you didn't like, or you didn't get the results that you wanted to get, you're going to be like, damn, well, I should have did this, or I should have did that, or you never want to live a regretful life. And the one way to not live a regretful life is to do the things that you know you want to do, or to do the things that you know are right for you.
Right, absolutely. And I will say this is that there's been moments where, because it's comfortable to say yes.
Yeah.
Right. And two, I think a lot of people ask you things with the assumption, right, that you will say it's because you've been saying yes your whole damn life.
Right. They don't know no other way.
Oh, she'll do it.
Right.
Let me just send this message real quick. But and then two, I think that it can almost get to the point where, like, if you're always saying yes, people will even ask you at the last minute, right? Because that expectation is there that you're going to show up for them, right? Yes. And you could be like, well, if I would have known last week, yes, but she's booked, right? According to my calendar, I would be laying down watching TV, so I can't do it.
I'm busy.
One time you choose to say no, out of the million times you say yes, you're the ass.
Right. Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah.
So, like, we say yes out of comfort, and we don't say no out of fear. Out of fear, because we don't want to offend the other person. We don't want to, make that person mad or anything like that. We don't know who may like it, whatever the situation is. And it's okay. And saying yes, we're comfortable with putting ourselves on the back burner. We're comfortable with, giving up ourselves for the other person, because we'll be okay. Ain't nothing gonna happen to us. We'll be fine. I'll make it through this, but like, nah. What if you don't?
Exactly. And you know what else is like, when you're always saying yes, when you do say no, people don't even hear the no.
No.
Exactly. Like they're like, I can't believe, like, either they're super offended, like, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you're really not gonna do. No, I said no.
Yeah.
And by that, I actually meant no.
Right. And that's it.
So you mean to tell me you really not gonna do?
But yes, you can't.
I'm really not going to do that.
Or it's like
as stated.
Yeah.
When I said no. Right.
But you mean you can't.
Right. But what if no?
You still no.
Then they try to finesse you.
Yeah. Still no.
And what about, and then the guilting you?
Yeah.
What about this and what about that? And have you look?
No.
I said no.
I said what I said.
Man, that's good. I learned a lot today.
Yeah, that was really a great conversation. As always,
her usual.
Right.
You would be interested to have as a therapist, because you just say, like, off the wall. I would be sitting there on the couch like, I can't believe, clutching my pearls, like, I can't believe did he say that? What? Wait a minute.
The amount of times that my clients have said that is like ridiculous.
That is so funny.
Because, like, I'm very professional, but I'm going to meet you where you're at. For a fact. So if I see somebody come in here and I see, like, you or a sister or somebody who grew up in an environment in which I know you're speaking a specific language, me as a therapist, I could kind of pull back the professional language a little bit, so I can kind of, speak to you where you're at. I can kind of speak in more of my element, versus I have a client who, I don't even want to say speaks proper, but they don't speak like me, or I have to play it. I have to, speak it a specific way and things like that. That makes me uncomfortable a little bit, because I'm not being genuine within the therapy. So, there's a bunch of times in which I get clients sometimes like, damn, I wasn't expecting you to say that. But it's the truth. Like, it is what it is. I'm going to be the last therapist to, like, that bullshit you.
Yeah, and I feel like that would be a total asset, because some, people have worked with therapists and they just didn't feel it, because you don't understand like why I'm even here talking to you. So
it's all about understanding the language that
absolutely
the client is having.
No, that's dope.
Absolutely. Wow. That is amazing.
Well, this has been great. What is going to go in our to-go box? What are we taking home? I will start with you, bestie.
Definitely taking away that peace is definitely important, and having this conversation made me just realize that even more, like, just being intentional with, my boundaries and my centeredness, and just being aware of that, because life can get a lot. So it's important to kind of think back and find that center. So that's what I'm taking away. That's good.
Brother Willis?
Is not to get peace confused with comfort. Because I like that part in it. That kind of like made me think. And I'm still kind of thinking about, what are things in my life that I'm tolerating and that I'm comfortable in. And are those things that I'm comfortable in, are those segments of my life that brings me peace? So just being mindful of not confusing the two.
Right. Child, look, I'm taking that same thing home too, is the whole distinction between comfort and tolerance versus peace. And then also the whole idea about respecting the no, right? Like that's something that I used to say, is that like, oh, I'm just gonna respect their no. Like if they say no, like, and even like if I ask y'all, somebody be like, you can just say no. Like you don't gotta explain that, just say no,
Yeah.
But also being aware when people aren't respecting my no.
Yeah.
And not giving, like not going around in circles with them, just being like, no. But what about, yeah, I heard you, I listened. No, like, how do you need me to give it to you?
Is that a C minor?
Exactly.
No, like, because I think that, again, the whole idea about engaging, right, is that what we want to avoid, because now you've disturbed my peace. I said no, I don't want to repeat myself. I don't have to explain it to you. I don't need it to make sense to you. I've said no, and that's it. So take it or leave it. But either way, respect my peace, right? Get off my line, right?
Seriously.
Get out of my presence. Get away from me. I've already said no. So I think that's what I want to take. Respecting the no, the distinction between tolerance and peace versus tolerance and comfort versus peace. Yes. And listening to my body.
Yeah. So
listening to my body.
That's good.
Awesome. So thanks for tuning into Brunch with Besties podcast. Until next time, peace.